Hi, this video is going to cover the distributive property. So the learning goals for this video are to understand how the distributive property works and also to use this to multiply a monomial into a polynomial such as this. Right? So here's a picture of Steve Nash. The reason why I added him is, well, he is a distributor of the basketball. And you'll see how this actually ties in. I'm just not throwing this for no reason. There's a reason for it. Yeah. All right, so the first thing is we're just going to look at the distributive property and just kind of see how it works. Okay, so for instance, here we have 6 times 13. If you were to just crunch that in your calculator here, 6 times 13 is 78. All right. Now the thing is though, I'm going to just break up the 13 for a moment. Okay, so I can write instead of 13, let's write 10 plus 3, for instance. I could break it up anyway, but I'll just do 10 plus 3. So we can agree that I haven't done anything different. Okay. 13 is the same thing as 10 plus 3. But watch what I'm going to do. I'm going to multiply this 6 with the 10. Okay? And then I'm also going to multiply the 6 with the 3. Okay, so I'm going to multiply the 6 with the 10, and I'm going to multiply the 6 with the 3. And let's just see what happens here. 6 times 10, that's a 10, that's a 10. 6 times 10 gives me 60. Plus, and then 6 times 3 is 18. So you notice that these two add up to 78 as well. So that works. Okay, that makes sense. Here, let's do another way. Here, 4 times 8, we know that's 32. But let's break up 8 into 10 minus 2. So again, I haven't changed the number 8 here. I just rewrote it. Okay, so that's now 10 minus 2. Let's do the same thing. Let's multiply the 4 with the 10 and multiply the 4 with that negative 2. So 4 times 10. And then we're going to do 4 times negative 2 here. So 4 times 10 gives us 40. 4 times negative 2 gives us negative 8. So 40 take away 8 is 32. So it seems like that we can, if we have two terms inside, then we can multiply it to both numbers inside, and we still get the same answer as if we hadn't done that, as if we just straight up multiply it. So the conclusion here that I want to highlight, okay, is that if you have some number a here outside of the bracket, and we have b plus c inside the bracket, well, it's valid then for me to multiply the a with the b and then add this a times c. Okay, and that's the distributive property. Okay, so this a we're going to distribute to both the b and to the c. Okay. So to multiply a monomial with a polynomial like this, okay, all we're going to do is we're going to use the distributive property. So we're going to multiply this expression outside the bracket with each term inside the bracket. We're going to multiply the numbers with numbers and multiply variables with variables. So we're just going to highlight what that means here. So this 2x squared, we are going to multiply this with this 3x squared. We are also going to multiply this 2x squared with this negative 2x. And then this 2x squared, we're also finally going to multiply with the 1 here. Okay, so I like to write the arrows to remind myself that I'm going to multiply this 3 times. So again, we're just going to multiply numbers with numbers and the x's with the x's. So let's do the first one. 2x squared times 3x squared. Well, I'm going to do the 2 times 3 first. So that gets me 6. Then x squared times x squared. So remember exponent rules. When you're multiplying powers with the same base, you add the exponents. So we have now x to the 4. Let's do the next one here. We have 2 times negative 2, which gives me negative 4. And then x squared times x. So again, we add the exponent, so 2 plus the invisible 1 here. So that makes x to the 3. Now finally, we're going to multiply 2x squared with a 1. So 2 times 1 is 2, and it's positive 2. And here we just have x squared times, well, there's nothing there, so it's just x squared. Okay. So this 2x squared, we are multiplying it into each term inside the bracket. So let's just do some examples, some more examples. So this 7, we're going to multiply into each of these 3 terms inside. Okay? So again, I'm just going to put the arrows inside here to remind myself. I'm going to do this 3 times. So the 7 is going to multiply with the 6, the 5, and that negative 8. So 7 times 6 makes 42, and we have b squared. Now the 7 times 5 is 35b, and then the 7 times the negative 8 is negative 56. So don't write the sign right away. Some students are keen to just writing plus, and then you multiply, and then only to figure out that you have a negative sign. So don't write any signs until you actually do the multiplication. So 7 times negative 8 is negative 56. All right? And that's it. Now, what happens if we don't have a number outside? We have a variable. Well, it's the same idea. This a is going to multiply with each term inside. Now, so the a times 4a squared, well, there is an invisible 1 in the front here, so we really are doing 1 times 4. Right? So 1 times 4 makes 4 still. And the a times a squared, well, that's a to the 3, since we're adding exponents. Now this a is going to multiply with this negative 3a, so we have minus 3, and then a times a is a squared. Then finally a times 2, that's going to be plus 2, because it's really the invisible 1 times 2, and then we have a all alone. The last one, so let's put them together. Let's say we have a variable and a coefficient. Okay. Then we are going to do this. Here, we're going to do this 4 times, just to be clear. Oops, that was close enough. So now we're going to do 6 times 3, so that's 18. And then h squared times h to the 3 is h to the 5. Now we're going to multiply the 6h squared with this 2h squared, so 6 times 2 makes positive 12. h squared times h squared is h to the 4. Now the 6 times negative, well, there's a negative 1 there. So 6 times negative 1 is negative 6. H squared times h, that's h to the 3. Now finally, 6h squared times 5, so 6 times 5 makes positive 30. And we just have h squared there. Okay. So again, the expression outside of the bracket, we're going to multiply with each term inside the bracket. Okay, and it never hurts to highlight the arrows. So help yourself by writing out the arrows so that you know that you're going to be doing this multiple times. So again, the expression outside the bracket, you're going to multiply with each term inside. When the variables multiply, make sure you apply the exponent rule for multiplication. And again, the number in front of a variable, we call that a coefficient, and every variable has one. Even if you don't see one, okay, there is an invisible one. All right. So if you have a variable here, something like x to the 3, okay, there is an invisible 1 in the front. Okay, so don't forget that. All right. I'd like you to practice some quick expressions using the distributive property. So give each of them a shot, and when you're ready to check your answer, just press play. So again, just pause the video now, give the questions a try, and see what you can do. Go ahead. All right, let's take up the questions here. So this 5, we are going to multiply it into each of these 3 terms. There's an invisible 1 here if you want to write that down to help you out. So 5 times 1, which should get you 5, and so you would have 5x squared. 5 times the negative 2 is negative 10x, and then 5 times the 3 is positive 15. Now, this negative 6, we're going to again multiply into each of these terms inside here. So negative 6 times 2 is negative 12. Negative 6 times negative 3, oops, I forgot the d squared. Negative 6 times negative 3 is positive 18, d. And then negative 6 times positive 5 is negative 30. Okay. All right, let's try another 2. Okay, so again, now these have both a coefficient and a variable. So make sure you multiply both. Again, pause the video, give it a shot, and then press play to see how you did. All right, well, let's take this question up here. We're going to multiply the 3x squared with each of these three terms. So 3 times 4 should get you 12. X squared times x squared. We're going to add those exponents, right? So you get x to the 4. Now this 3 we're going to multiply with this invisible 1 here. So that's a 3. X squared times x is x to the 3. Now 3 is going to multiply with a negative 5 to get negative 15. And then we have x squared. Now last one here, we're going to multiply this negative 2a in each of these three terms here. So negative 2 times that invisible 1 again. We've got negative 2, and then a times a squared is a to the 3. Negative 2 times 3 should get us negative 6. A times a is a squared. Now negative 2 times negative 4 should get us positive 8. And a times, well, there's no other a, so that's just a. All right. Well, just to sum up what we've done, remember this 5x squared, this expression outside the bracket is going to be distributed, okay? Much like how a basketball player distributes the basketball. Okay? You thought I forgot about that basketball. So this person here would be passing this expression 3 times, right? Much like a basketball player, like Steve Nash, the man. Okay, so I hope this video has made the distributive property very clear, and best of luck.